5 unforgettable stars brought ALF into millions of homes.
2-layer pineapple surprise?
Today, only 2 of them are still with us. One spent years hiding a painful secret behind the cameras. Another walked away from Hollywood after the fame became too much. And one heartbreaking loss left fans around the world in shock.
Before this story ends, you'll discover the real lives behind television's most unusual family. Some of these stories are inspiring. Others are truly heartbreaking. Stay with us until the end, because the final name has a story that few ALF fans have ever heard. Welcome to Screen Rewind. Let's begin.
Number 1. Paul Fusco. ALF. Gordon Shumway. The first name could only be the one who never truly appeared on screen. Millions of viewers laughed with ALF every week. They knew the wisecracking alien with the huge appetite, the loud opinions, the endless jokes, and the dream of eating the Tanner family's cat. But very few people ever knew the man who gave ALF his unforgettable personality. That man was Paul Fusco. Without him, ALF would never have existed. Paul Fusco was born on January 29, 1953, in New Haven, Connecticut. Long before television audiences met the lovable alien from Melmac, Paul had already fallen in love with puppetry. While other children played with ordinary toys, he spent countless hours creating puppet characters and practicing voices. What started as a childhood hobby slowly became a lifelong passion. Years later, that passion would create one of television's most recognizable characters. Everything changed during the early 1980s. Paul created a funny alien puppet with a sarcastic sense of humor and an endless supply of one-liners. Together with producer Tom Patchett, he developed the idea into a television series. NBC loved the concept. In September 1986, ALF premiered and quickly became one of America's biggest family sitcoms. Almost overnight, the strange little alien became a worldwide pop culture phenomenon. What audiences never saw was how difficult the production really was. Paul wasn't simply providing ALF's voice. During nearly every scene, he spent hours hidden beneath the elaborate television set. Sometimes he worked inside cramped platforms built under the floor. Other times, he performed through tiny openings that left almost no room to move. While the actors stood comfortably under bright studio lights, Paul remained out of sight, controlling every movement of ALF's head, hands, eyes, and expressions. One small mistake could ruin an entire scene. As the show's popularity exploded, ALF appeared everywhere. Television specials, talk shows, commercials, toys, books, video games, even music albums carried the alien's smiling face. Although fans recognized ALF instantly, many never recognized the man behind the character. Paul accepted that quietly. For him, bringing ALF to life mattered far more than becoming famous himself. When the original series ended in 1990, many believed ALF's journey had ended forever. It didn't. Paul refused to let his creation disappear. He returned as ALF's voice in the 1996 television movie Project ALF and continued performing the character for interviews, commercials, television appearances, and new projects over the years. Even decades after the sitcom left the air, Paul remained deeply connected to the character he had created. Today, Paul Fusco is 73 years old. He remains one of the few original stars of ALF who is still with us. Millions of people remember the furry alien from Melmac. But behind every joke, every laugh, and every unforgettable moment stood one man whose face stayed hidden while his imagination entertained the world. ALF became a television legend. Paul Fusco became the voice that made an alien feel like part of the family. Number 2. Max Wright, Willie Tanner.
The second name was the father who opened his front door to a stranded alien. Every week, Willie Tanner tried to keep his family safe while hiding the biggest secret in the neighborhood. He was patient, responsible, and almost always the voice of reason whenever Alf turned the house upside down. To millions of viewers, Willie was the calm center of the Tanner family. But away from the cameras, Max Wright's real life became far more complicated than the television father everyone admired. George Edward Maxwell Wright was born on August 2, 1943, in Detroit, Michigan. Long before sitcom fame arrived, he built his reputation as a serious stage actor. He studied theater, appeared in respected productions across America, and earned praise for performances on Broadway. Directors admired his professionalism, while fellow actors respected his dedication to every role. Television eventually opened its doors, but Max never stopped thinking like a stage performer. Everything changed in 1986 when NBC cast him as Willie Tanner. At 43 years old, Max suddenly found himself leading one of television's most unusual family comedies. Every episode demanded perfect timing. Willie had to react as though a talking alien living in his house was completely believable. That wasn't easy. Much of Alf's performance came from puppeteers working below the set, forcing Max to deliver emotional scenes while speaking to a puppet positioned through hidden openings in the floor. Despite those unusual challenges, audiences completely believed the relationship between Willie and Alf. Behind the laughter, however, the production could be exhausting. The complicated puppet effects often meant long filming days and countless delays. Cast members sometimes spent hours waiting while technicians prepared each scene. Although viewers saw only 22 minutes of comedy each week, producing a single episode demanded extraordinary patience from everyone involved. Max remained committed to making every moment feel natural, even when the cameras stopped rolling for technical adjustments. Away from Hollywood, Max shared a quiet family life with his wife, Linda, whom he married in 1965. Together, they raised 2 children and stayed together throughout his life. Friends described him as thoughtful, intelligent, and deeply devoted to the theater. Yet fame brought pressures that few fans ever imagined. During the years after Alf, Max faced several deeply personal struggles that became public and often overshadowed the remarkable acting career he had spent decades building. Even so, he never completely disappeared from acting. He continued appearing in television series, films, and stage productions, proving that his talent reached far beyond one famous sitcom. To many fans, however, he would always be Willie Tanner, the father who somehow managed to keep his family together while living with television's funniest alien. Sadly, Max Wright passed away on June 26, 2019, at the age of 75 after battling cancer. His passing marked another heartbreaking farewell for the Alf family. Willie Tanner spent 4 seasons protecting an alien from the outside world. Max Wright spent a lifetime giving audiences a father they could believe in, even when everything around him was completely unbelievable. Number 3. Schedeen, Kate Tanner. The third name was the mother who kept the Tanner family together. Whenever Alf turned the house into complete chaos, Kate Tanner was usually the first to restore order. She was firm, practical, and rarely fooled by Alf's endless excuses. Yet beneath her strict attitude was a caring mother who slowly accepted an alien as part of her family. For millions of viewers, Kate became one of television's most believable sitcom moms. Off camera, Schedeen's journey was much quieter than many fans expected. Schedeen was born on January 8, 1949, in Portland, Oregon. Before becoming a familiar face on television, she worked hard through small guest appearances and supporting roles. Success didn't arrive overnight. Years of determination finally paid off when she was chosen to play Kate Tanner in ALF. The role introduced her to audiences around the world and became the defining performance of her career. When ALF premiered in 1986, Anne brought warmth and realism to a story that could have easily felt unbelievable. While everyone else reacted to the alien with curiosity or excitement, Kate often represented common sense. Her chemistry with Max Wright created a believable television marriage, helping the Tanner family feel like a real household, despite the extraordinary situation living under their roof.
Behind the scenes, Anne experienced one memorable change during the series. While the show was in production, she became pregnant. Instead of hiding the pregnancy, the writers included it in the storyline, introducing baby Eric Tanner during the 3rd season. It was one of the few real-life events that naturally became part of the show's story. After ALF ended, Anne gradually stepped away from Hollywood. Rather than chasing more television fame, she chose a quieter private life, making only occasional public appearances. Unlike many stars of her era, she remained largely out of the spotlight and rarely sought attention from the entertainment industry. Today, Anne Schedeen is 77 years old and one of the surviving main cast members of ALF. Kate Tanner always protected her family from the world's dangers. Anne Schedeen quietly protected her own peace by leaving Hollywood behind, proving that sometimes the ending happens away from the spotlight.
Number 4. Andrea Elson, Lynn Tanner. The 4th name was the teenage daughter who grew up in front of millions of viewers. Lynn Tanner began as a typical high school girl, but over 4 seasons, audiences watched her become a confident young woman. She shared a special bond with Alf, often helping him out of trouble while trying to keep his biggest secret safe. Behind her smile, however, Andrea Elson faced a challenge that almost no viewer ever noticed. Andrea Elson was born on March 6, 1969, in New York City. As a child, her family moved frequently because of her father's career, but Andrea always dreamed of acting. Small television roles eventually led to the opportunity that changed her life forever. In 1986, she was cast as Lynn Tanner, becoming one of the youngest stars on one of television's biggest sitcoms. While ALF became a huge success, Andrea quietly struggled with body image and the pressure of growing up in front of television cameras. Years later, she openly revealed that she battled bulimia during the show's run. It was a painful fight that remained hidden while audiences saw only the cheerful teenager on screen. Her honesty later inspired many fans who were facing similar struggles. Behind the scenes, the show also changed her personal life. Andrea met production manager Scott Hopper while working on ALF. The friendship eventually became a romance, and the couple married in 1993. They later welcomed a daughter and focused on building a happy family away from Hollywood.
After the sitcom ended, Andrea made only a handful of acting appearances before deciding to leave the entertainment industry. Unlike many former child stars, she chose privacy over fame and rarely returned to the spotlight. Fans still remember her as the caring daughter who helped make the Tanner family feel real. Today, Andrea Elson is 57 years old. Lynn Tanner grew into adulthood before America's eyes. Andrea Elson found something even more valuable after the camera stopped rolling: a peaceful life far away from Hollywood's bright lights.
Number 5. Benji Gregory, Brian Tanner. The final name belongs to the little boy who welcomed an alien without fear. Brian Tanner wasn't frightened when Alf crashed into his family's garage. He became his closest friend. Together, they shared adventures, laughter, and unforgettable moments that made Alf one of television's most beloved family sitcoms. But while Brian's story on screen was filled with joy, Benji Gregory's real life ended in heartbreaking tragedy that shocked fans around the world. Benji Gregory was born on May 26, 1978, in Los Angeles, California. Acting became part of his life at a very young age. After appearing in several television commercials and guest roles, he landed the role of Brian Tanner in 1986. At only 8 years old, he quickly became one of the show's most recognizable young stars. His natural chemistry with Paul Fusco's Alf made their friendship feel genuine, and many viewers believed Brian was the child who understood Alf better than anyone else. As the years passed, Benji slowly stepped away from acting. Unlike many child stars who continued chasing Hollywood fame, he chose a quieter life. He later served in the United States Navy before leaving military service for medical reasons. Friends described him as kind, gentle, and someone who always appreciated the fans who remembered ALF.
Behind that quiet life, however, Benji faced difficult personal challenges. He reportedly struggled with depression and other health issues for years. Those private battles remained largely unknown to the public as he stayed away from interviews and the spotlight. Fans simply remembered the smiling little boy from the Tanner family, unaware of the hardships he carried as an adult.
Then came the heartbreaking news. In July 2024, Benji Gregory was found dead inside his car in Arizona. He was only 46 years old. According to his family, extreme heat combined with medical complications likely contributed to his tragic death. His passing saddened millions of fans who had grown up watching him every week and remembered him as ALF's loyal young friend. Brian Tanner believed every problem could somehow be solved with hope and friendship. Benji Gregory's life reminds us that the hardest battles are often the ones no one else can see.
5 unforgettable stars helped make ALF a television classic. Some found peace away from Hollywood. Some left us far too soon. But together, they created a family that millions of fans still remember today. If you enjoyed this journey through television history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again on Screen Rewind for more unforgettable then and now stories.